everybody, my name is Marilyn. I'm just here to simply lead everybody to the one true teacher, Jesus Christ, and encourage others to read their Bibles and to share my testimony and be a witness to God's goodness and just worship God together as a family here on YouTube. So today's Bible study is on Matthew 5, New King James Version. And I'm going to start by reading Matthew 5, the Beatitudes. And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Believers are the salt and the light. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? Is it then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men? You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Christ fulfills the law. Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass back from the law till all is fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Murder begins in the heart. For you have heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be in danger of judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. And whosoever says to his brother, Raka, which means idiot, shall be in danger of counsel. But whosoever says, You fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, then remember that your brother has something against you. And there remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, then come and offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly while you are on the way with him, lest your adversary deliver you to the judge, and the judge hand you over to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Assuredly, I say to you, you will by no means get out of there until you have paid the last penny. Adultery in the heart. You have heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not commit adultery. Sorry about that. You shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that whosoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than your whole body to be cast into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than your whole body be cast into hell. So Matthew 5, verse 1 to 17, New King James Version, contains the beginning of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, which includes the Beatitudes and the teachings about believers being the salt of the earth and the light of the world. The Beatitudes, verses 3 to 12, describes the character of those blessed by God, such as meek, merciful, and pure in heart, who will receive the kingdom of heaven. Verses 13 to 16 explain that believers' lives should influence the world positively, like salt preserving and light illuminating. The overall message of this section is that true blessedness and a relationship with God involve humility, internal righteousness, and a life of positive influence rather than outward appearances. The Beatitude, Matthew 5, verses 3 to 12. This verse lists 8 types of people who are blessed or truly happy in the sight of God. These are not conditions for salvation, but characteristics of a genuine faith. Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who recognize their spiritual bankruptcy and need for God. Blessed are those who mourn, those who grieve over sin and brokenness of the world. Blessed are the meek, those who are humble and gentle, not relying on their own strength. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, those who passionately desire to live according to God's will. Blessed are the merciful, those who show compassion and kindness to others. Blessed are the pure in heart, those who are sincere and undivided in their devotion to God. Blessed are the peacemakers, those who actively work to bring reconciliation. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, those who suffer for their commitment to God and His truth. Salt and light, Matthew 5, verses 13 to 16. Jesus calls His followers to be the salt of the earth and the light of the earth. Salt of the earth. Believers are to act as a preservative, maintaining righteousness and a sense of goodness in the world. Light of the world. They are to illuminate truth, dispel darkness, and bring God's glory to the world, similar to a city on a hill. The central theme in Matthew 5, verses 1 to 17 emphasizes that genuine blessedness comes from a transformed inner life that produces a positive outward influence on others. Jesus sets a higher standard than superficial or outward religious practice, calling for humility, mercy, and a deep desire for God's kingdom. Matthew 5, verses 1 to 30 details the first part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, beginning the Beatitudes, verses 1 to 12, which describes characteristics of those blessed by God. Jesus then elaborates on His relationship with the law, verses 17 to 20, and explains that true righteousness goes beyond external actions to include internal thoughts and attitudes, such as the need to not only avoid murder, but also sinning in anger. And because righteous anger is different from sinning in anger, because God gets angry sometimes too at us, but He has a righteous anger and he doesn't sin. But we us sinners, we can easily sin in anger, and that is tantamount to murder. It's like a hatred inside of us towards another person or ourselves too. But yeah, to not only avoid murder, but also anger, and to not sin in anger, and to not only avoid adultery, but also lustful thoughts. The Beatitudes, verses 1 to 12, characteristics of blessed people. Jesus begins by listing 8 attitudes and circumstances that lead to true blessedness or a blessed state in God's kingdom. These include being poor in spirit, recognizing spiritual bankruptcy, mourning, being meek, hungering and thirsting for righteousness, being merciful, having a pure heart, being a peacemaker, enduring persecution for righteousness' sake. Jesus and the law, verses 17 to 20, fulfillment, not destruction. Jesus states that He did not come to abolish the law or the prophets, but to fulfill them. Higher righteousness. He then declares that the righteousness of His followers should exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees to enter the kingdom of heaven. Murder and anger, verses 21 to 26. Internal sin. Jesus teaches that the prohibition against murder extends to hateful anger and insults, stating that even harboring such feelings is dangerous in God's eyes. Reconciliation. He instructs followers to resolve disputes and be reconciled with an adversary before offering a gift to the altar, emphasizing the importance of broken relationships. Adultery and lust, verses 27 to 30. Attitudes of sin. Jesus expands the commandment against adultery to include the act of lustful looking, stating that such a thought has already committed adultery in their heart. In the heart. Extreme measures. He uses hyperbole suggested the drastic measures of plucking out an offering eye or cutting off an offering hand to avoid the greater danger of hell, underscoring the seriousness of these sinful thoughts. So if a person has sinful thoughts and towards women or men, lustful thoughts towards women or men, like rapey thoughts, rapey vibes or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, I have to have that, and I have to cheat on my spouse or my significant other, well, you should cut off those temptations. Don't subscribe to OnlyFans. Don't watch pornography. Don't save Pornhub to your favorites on your computer. If social media causes you to sin and have lustful thoughts towards men or women, then, take a break from social media until you're strong enough to, have a social media account. Don't look up anything on Google, stuff like that. I'm just encouraging people, because I've been there, done that in the past, and God's helped me overcome that. But anyways, thank you for watching. That was a lot to unpack. I hope everybody has a blessed rest of their day, and a blessed rest of their week, and a blessed rest of their year and lifetime. I love you all very much, and most importantly, God loves you all unconditionally. And take care. Bye bye.